Hello everybody, welcome back to my series on completing and ranking every single beginner's Python course on the internet. For week 7, I've actually moved on to a community suggestion, so thank you very much Liam for getting involved and getting excited. He suggested Sololearn rather than doing Codecademy next, so that's what I'm doing. Today we don't have tons to talk about because I'm still getting through it, but we'll have a quick flick through of what Sololearn actually looks like because it's the first I've heard of it and how I've got on so far. Without further ado, let's get into it. So I've just gone to compare this against learnpython.org and I've noticed that this automatically goes into dark mode. Sololearn has not picked that up, which is obviously detrimental, and my learning experience is impacted massively. That was a joke if the deadpan satire didn't come off very well. Anyway, this is what it looks like. So we are, what's this, a third of the way through the introduction to Python. This is the website. I've not gone pro. You can see that I've also not got everything right, which is relatively embarrassing given that we're looking at, let's go on to one of the lessons, for example. So you need to convert data into an integer, I believe it's in. But yeah, this is the caliber of the question. So I believe you get 5 lives and you walk through these tutorials. So role equals input, school equals stored as an integer. Sorry, I'm having to think and talk, which is not something I'm famously good at. This is basically what the website looks like. And if you scroll all the way to the bottom, you can see, see, this doesn't feel like we're a third of the way through. Perhaps the weighting isn't correct. This could be very good feedback in the future. And at the end, it looks like we get a certificate. So I think after I've done it with the regular version, I'm going to go pro. I haven't looked at, oh, look at that. It's done monthly. So there's an incentive for me to move a little bit faster. As you'll notice as well, you've got all these pro moments. So we only probably get about half of the actual content. But all this is AI generated as well. And you saw in that example, there's the options for AI feedback. I'd be interested to see how good that is and if it's actually beneficial, or if, like I talked about in my video from last week, if it actually steals the learning away from you. One of the cool features that I really like actually is this leaderboard. So I was in the Orange League. I think it might have been something like Mercury, and now this might be the Venus League. But when you go onto your lessons, you can see that you've got the amount of XP that you gain for completing a lesson. So my next lesson, I'll get 10 XP, and then in the leaderboard, I will shoot up and remain in 5th place. Quite comfortably there, to be honest. Look at these tryhards. That's it for the website. Let's hop over to Visual Studio and see what I've done there. So I hope I don't get sued for copyright infringement, but what I've been doing is pasting a lot of the stuff in the lessons as a block comment, and especially the lesson takeaways. You can see from the lessons that they're much shorter, and perhaps this is because we're just doing the basics, but I'm already down at, say, 2.15 here, and look at the sort of caliber that we're working with. 2.14, this was gives an error because you've got a string, but we're looking at very introductory stuff that probably shouldn't take me this long, but I've been busy as of late. The cool thing about going over the basics once again is that you do stay sharp, and there's things like here, for example, that I thought this would have stored as an integer because it's nice and round, but perhaps because you divide, it's always stored as a float. Not sure, I've not looked at the secret texts, but yeah, so that's how it's going. Here's my first quiz. It's a bit difficult to bring the stuff over, and in that regard it's funny because it's exactly what I was asking for last time, is to do all the editing within the platform, but I'm finding bringing it over very hard to create my own repository and feel like I've got a set of scripts that I can flick back on. So whilst I thought that was what I wanted, when we get to the end of this, we'll see if that's actually what I wanted. There's also one thing that you can do where if you type in your answer, so for example, on the question we had on screen there, they gave you the answer for none, it will yellow line it. So they're sort of asking you things that a good code editor isn't going to let you error on anyway. So I thought that was not interesting. Perhaps the word I'm looking for is bad or something like this. Just doesn't really make sense to quiz you on something that's never going to happen, right? And just like that, folks, we are at the end of week 7. I appreciate it wasn't as interesting as week 6, but it's important to keep momentum and look at this weekly progress if I didn't have my camera cropped. So that's it for today. Thanks very much for stopping by and have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you.